Hey everyone, how are you? So I saw something yesterday and just had to read it out loud to my man. And as I was reading it to him, it was so fun. So I cannot take credit for this work, but I wanted to come to you live and be a narrator for a story that was written by Larry Wood. So I want to give him full credit. I posted the link of his post so you can share this, you can tag your people, but it's pretty fun. So just consider me your narrator or your expressionista, and let's go. Have you ever heard the most unlikely story of the great swimming match between Lauren and Jay? This allegorical story is being lived out in real time, right now, even today. Though silent for a time, you may have just heard that after weeks of study, a trip back east, much prayer, and quiet contemplation, our hero Lauren just announced, "I now realize what happened. I was thwarted by a croc, a swamp creature, and that is why I didn't win the race, and I am going to prove it." Now, this revelation created no small stir and even great amounts of joy amongst the town folks who all had witnessed the great race. It just didn't seem right, they said. Lauren trained so hard and swam in every creek and pond across the state to train and had thousands upon thousands watch him swim. It was a beautiful thing, a sight to behold, and everyone had great hope of his victory. But then he just lost. Hundreds of thousands were shocked that he lost, but that's not the end of the story. I need to go backward and fill you in on the details before I can tell you how this wonderful story will end. You see, every 4 years there is a great swimming match in Longview's Lake Sacagawea, and the winner gets to lead the state from Olympia until the next race in 4 years. At the big race, one swimmer wears red and the other blue. Don't ask me why. It's just that it's true. In 2020, a year like no other, and if you don't believe that, well, just ask my brother. A most unlikely figure arose to compete in the race. His signs were everywhere, but didn't have his face. Who is this man and where is that place? Nobody knew, but boy, could he race. Past them all, he swam in this primary race. 36 competitors he beat to take second place. To no shock of the crowd at the primary event, it was Jay who had won without leaving his tent. Well, this set the stage for the big fall race, and if you hadn't before, you now saw Lauren's face. He worked up a sweat as he campaigned like no other. You could tell if you went, he was one fired up father. Jay, on the other hand, was rarely seen out, but when he did, the people did shout. So let me hurry along and describe the fall race. The professional media said Lauren would fall on his face. A stirring arose and curiosity began. After 30-some years, could this be our red man? The day of the race will be remembered by all, as Lauren himself stood so tall. After training here and swimming there, no one had ever seen anything like it, but Jay had no care. So on that dark day that had started so bright, we were told it was over. Lauren had lost the big fight. Shock and sadness were the first feelings of the crowd, but then there were murmurings that became loud. Jay and his buddies, all dressed in blue, were changing the country, so screw you. People scratched their heads as they pondered these events. How could Blue have won without leaving their tents? Investigations were had across the land, and soon a pattern emerged. Maybe we'd been had. The cheating and lies, they did not stop. Where is justice and honor? Where is the cop? Well, let's just stop the rhyming and finish the story. It turns out that, as Lauren had said early on, he was stopped by a croc or a swamp monster, and so he waded alone out into the lake with confidence like no one had done before. And he started feeling around and grabbed onto something, and after quite a struggle, whatever it was got away. Now, a crowd had gathered, and those dressed in blue mocked Lauren for wading out into the swamp. But a growing group in red began to shout encouragement and hints and clues to where the swamp monsters lived. After a while, Lauren, while leaning over in the muddy swamp, grabbed another thing, and no one could deny he had something this time. And to the shock of the crowd, he pulled a couple of swamp monsters and knocked them on the head. Then, to the surprise of everyone watching, he dove headfirst back into the swamp and grabbed two more, and then people from all around started seeing how it was done, and they joined in. And a massive pile of swamp monsters was collected. The story doesn't end here. It just gets more beautiful. Far, far away in another Washington, similar events were also unfolding. No small stir was created when our second hero, the Donald, also started yanking out swamp monsters, but far bigger and way faster than anybody saw coming. It turns out that the Donald had actually been plotting a giant trap for years, and nobody believed he could win a second time, just like nobody thought Lauren could win. So history shows an unusually close friendship arose as the Donald ended up helping Lauren gain a solid footing when most people thought it would be Jay and Joe. But history is funny like that, and after a very stressful winter for Blue and a continually encouraging but still shocking winter for Red, both Washingtons ended up stronger than ever. But lots of things changed. Around springtime, victory was announced across the land, and prayer came back, and honesty and integrity and the rule of law, as many people who did wrong were held accountable on a level no one had ever seen. What was also impressive is how Lauren's Washington worked and the other Washington to continue to pull out swamp monsters for all his first 4 years. After winning the next 4 years, his Washington was prospering like no one ever remembered. Airplane companies came back. New, huge projects were built much quicker than previously possible. So be encouraged, because what you are allowed to see and told you can see are not always the way things really are. Congrats to Larry Wood for writing that. That was way too fun not to share. If you enjoyed it, I hope you did. You can feel free to share. We all need some encouraging, some smiles, some actually real face-to-face. So if you enjoyed that, and I hope you did, props to Larry for writing it. I just thought I'd add a little expression and fun. And maybe we'll, do some more story time another time. Whether or not, stay true to who you are, stand up tall, fight loud and proud, because our country is great, and I truly believe great things are on the way. Bless y'all.